Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Huck and today I am doing an unhaul video. I know that this one tends to be a little bit more of a controversial kind of video because I may be getting rid of books that other people really love. So if I am unhauling a book that is a favorite of yours or you really love, it doesn't mean that it is not a good book or that you can't love it. It just means it's one that I don't plan on rereading and I don't really feel the need to keep in my collection because I don't have a whole ton of space for books and I need to let some go because I've been buying lots of books and I need space for them. Also, many of these books I have read a very long time ago, so I don't remember very much about them, or I didn't like them, so they are kind of blocked from my mind. The point is, I probably won't be going into extensive reasons for giving them away or explanations of what the books are about because I may not remember, and also I have a lot of books that I'm getting rid of, so I don't know if I have time in this video to really go into all of these books, what they're about, why I'm getting rid of them, so I'm gonna go through them pretty quick. That being said, and without further ado, let's just get started. So the first book that I am going to be unhauling is Deception's Princess by Esther Freisner? This one is a princess fairy tale retelling that I mostly picked up because I think it takes place in Ireland and the girl on the cover looks like brave. This book, I don't think there was anything wrong with it, I just don't remember it very well. I remember it being kind of lackluster for me, I just didn't think it was especially interesting, so I just don't feel the need to hang on to it. The next books are actually a series that I'm getting rid of, which I don't know if this series has a name, but these are by Lisa Shannon. The first book is Magic Lost, Trouble Found. The second is Armed and Magical. The third is The Trouble with Demons. The fourth is Bewitched and Betrayed, and the fifth is Con and Conjure. All I really remember from these books are that I think the main character is a con artist of some sort, and there are goblins in it. I think she has a romance with a goblin. So that's all I remember of these, and these ones were also kind of lackluster to me. I don't remember them, I don't plan to reread them ever, or to continue the series, so I'm just gonna let them go. Then I have another series, which is the Noble Dead series by Barb and J.C. Hendy. So the first one, I don't know how to say this, Dampire? How would you pronounce that? I don't know. The second one is Thief of Lives. Third is Sister of the Dead. Fourth is Traitor to the Blood, and the fifth is Rebel Fae. There are definitely more books in this series, but I do not have them. This is a vampire series that follows a main character who is half vampire, half human, which I think is what this word means, vampire, I don't know, but that's a half human, half vampire, and she has a friend who is an elf and kind of like a thief character, and I think she has a trusty wolf companion, and she hunts vampires. It's been a very long time since I read this. I did really like this series, I just don't plan to ever continue it. Vampires have never been a story or magical creature that I was really that interested in, and this was the only really vampire focused series I ever followed, but I don't really have any intention to continue it. This is another one I kind of forgot I was reading and just dropped off. Next, I have one that may be kind of controversial, which is Divergent by Veronica Roth. This is the first book in her series, and it is the only one from this series I read, but I did not like it. I just couldn't connect to it. I didn't think it was that interesting. What's funny to me is my mom read this and she loved this series. She read the whole series, I think, on her Kindle or something. She thought it was great. I was not a big fan of it. I know that this is a very well-loved one, but it just wasn't one that really stuck with me. Then I have another one that is fairly popular, which is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This is one that I read and I don't really remember a lot from it also because I didn't find it especially interesting. This is actually another kind of dystopian science fiction one that I didn't like that much. I do like dystopian sci-fi, but I am fairly picky about that genre and how it's done. I didn't really like how this one was done. So again, this is another popular one, but it was just one that I think didn't strike me the right way and I didn't really enjoy it. Then I have two books that may come as a surprise, but there is a reason for this. So the first is Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. This is a book that I really love, which is why it may be a surprise that I am giving away this copy. But that is because I actually have, well, I have the entire series in paperback, but I was searching for the series in hardcover because I wanted to do a project of decorating the hardcovers. I have this book in a different version of hardcover. I have the first three books and they all match. This one does not match, and so I am giving this one away. I had picked it up when I was in a process of trying to find matching hardcovers, and I saw this at a used bookstore, so I just picked it up in the hopes that I would be able to find the rest of the series in a matching edition. So I'm just giving this one away because I ended up finding matching editions of the first three. In the same vein, I am getting rid of the hardcover edition of Son of the Shadows, which is the second book in the series. Again, this is just because I picked this up when I was trying to collect hardcover editions to find the series in matching editions, and I ended up finding them in a different edition of hardcovers that this one does not match. Then I have The Running Man by Stephen King. This is the only Stephen King that I have ever read, and I read it because I heard that it was a dystopian science fiction. It takes place in a future where the world has kind of been taken over by game shows, and the game show where you're able to earn the most money is one called The Running Man, in which you are essentially hunted by bounty hunters. If you can survive, is it 24 hours or something without being killed, then you get a large sum of money. The main character, his child, I believe, is ill and he needs money to get medicine for his child, and so he enters this competition. This is the only Stephen King that I have ever read, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. I know that this is not one of his more popular works, so it may not be as great as some of his other ones. I don't really plan to read other Stephen King because, like, he mostly writes horror, and that's not really a genre that I'm interested in. I only read this because I had heard that it was a dystopian science fiction, and again, I'm kind of picky about that genre, and I just didn't really like this one that much. I think my main issue with it was mostly just that it was not character focused enough for me, and I am a very character focused reader, and that was my main issue with this. The next book I have, which is Daughter of the Blood by Anne Bishop. This is a series that is actually recommended to me a lot, especially like online when you do that. Like, if you like this author, read this author. And a lot of the authors I read, the like online things recommend to read Anne Bishop. So I read this first book a long time ago. I was probably much too young to be reading this book, to be honest. But this book was super creepy. This book was probably one of the most disturbing books that I've read. There's a lot of like torture and mutilation, and there's like pedophilia and cannibalism and just a lot of really weird stuff that I was reading this just being like, whoa, okay, that's a lot. So I didn't plan to ever continue the series. I hung on to the book just because I had read it, and I guess to be able to reference it as being like, oh my god, this was such a weird book. They were just like too much for me. I was not a fan of this series, or of this book, because I didn't read the rest of the series. But I don't plan to ever read more of it, and I think I can finally let it go. The next one I have comes from my adventures in poetry, which is Ariel by Sylvia Plath. This is a book of poetry that I got and I tried because I am trying lots of different kinds of poetry, and I was not a fan of it. I know that Sylvia Plath is a very popular poet, but her stuff just didn't really resonate with me, and I don't really feel the need to hang on to this. The next books that I have are another series, and I'm not going to try to hold them all up at once because it's a lot, but I have the first 6 books of the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. So the first one is Wizard's First Rule, the second is Stone of Tears, the third, the third is Blood of the Fold, fourth is Temple of the Winds, fifth we have Soul of the Fire, and sixth we have Faith of the Fallen. These ones I started reading when the TV show based on the series came out, and I liked the TV show, so I started the series. The series wasn't my favorite, but I liked it enough that I kind of kept going with it, although there was a point where it just like totally lost me. And I read these a very long time ago, but you can see, so these are the last two books that I have. You can see that in Soul of Fire, the second to last of the ones that I have, I stopped halfway through. One, there's my bookmark. Also, I tend to crack spines on books, which I know is like sacrilege or whatever, but I like to crack book spines on paperbacks, so just calm down. But you can see, I don't know if you can tell on here, but the cracks stop right about halfway through the book. I don't remember what happened, but there was a point where I was just like, I'm done with this. I can't deal with this anymore. I think my main complaint with this series was that it was very predictable in that it just would have one problem, they would fix the problem, but the way that they fix that problem creates a new problem. So then they have to fix that one, but the way they fix that problem creates a new problem. And it just created this really predictable cycle that I was not a fan of. Next, I have the first three books in the Walker Papers series by C.E. Murphy. So the first one is Urban Shaman, the second is Thunderbird Falls, and the third is Coyote Dreams. So these are another urban fantasy series that were kind of similar to the Mercy Thompson series. I like the Mercy Thompson series much better, and I still follow that series, but this is one that I had started reading because I wanted something similar to that, and these were okay, but definitely not as good, and I don't plan to ever reread them. Urban fantasy, I have discovered, is just not really for me. I can only read it in like small doses, but I'm gonna just like let these ones go. Next, I have another book that may be a surprise, but again, there's a reason I'm letting this one go, which is The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. So this is one of my favorite books. I love Maggie Stiefvater's writing and the Raven Cycle. This is the last book in the Raven Cycle, and the reason that I am giving this one away is because I actually have another edition of this now. This was the maybe the UK edition. I had the rest of the series in the US edition paperbacks, and I really like that edition. I like the feel of the books and the feel of the paper and everything. So to get this to match, I recently got the new edition that just came out at like the beginning of March or something, so that my series will match. So it's not because I don't love this book, it's just because I already have a copy of it. Then another possibly controversial one is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This is another one that I know is very well loved, but I just did not enjoy this one. I felt like it was a fairly generic story. It was kind of a compilation of other stories. I thought it was very predictable. I didn't connect to the characters very much. I don't really remember that much else from it, but I just didn't really have any motivation to continue the series. It just wasn't very interesting to me. And then again, I have a series of books that I am getting rid of because I have these in different editions. So first of all, I have the Live Ship Traders Trilogy by Robin Hobb. So I actually was searching for these in a specific edition, and I would order them online from used bookstores where they said that it was a specific edition that I was looking for with a particular cover, which actually I have right here. So I was looking for these covers, which I think are out of print now. And so I was searching for those. I would find them. I even was looking them up by like ISBN number, so it was very specific. I would order them, and then the books would come in a different cover. So now I have a whole bunch of editions of the same books in the wrong covers. And these were pretty inexpensive because I was getting them from used bookstores online. So really, for me, it would be more expensive to try and send them back than to just keep them and maybe give them away. So I have the first three books, which are Ship of Magic. The second one is The Mad Ship, and the third one is Ship of Destiny. Then I also have another edition of Mad Ship. So you can see that I was trying very hard to find this specific edition, and they kept sending me the wrong ones when I specifically was searching for a particular cover. But Oh well. And the last book that I have is one that I'm not even really sure why I have it, but it is People of the Masks by Catherine O'Neill Geer and W. Michael Geer. And this, I think, is like, I don't know, this isn't even the first book in the series. I've never read any more of this series. Yeah, this is the final book, I think, in this series. I haven't read the first, like, 8 books in it. I don't know why I have this. I don't understand how this ended up on my shelves, but I found it and I'm going to give it away because I have no idea what this is. So all of these books I will be donating to a local used bookstore. There is a bookstore that I like to buy books at, but I also will be donating to. The money they make from reselling these books goes back into supporting the local libraries in my area. So I really like to support them both by donating books for them to resell and by buying those books to support the libraries. So I am glad to have gotten some of my spring cleaning done and to be supporting my local libraries and a local used bookstore. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, bye!